Hello, I am Twack, and this is the any percent no FPS abuse tutorial for Hob as of April 2020. I'm gonna go through the game, the route, go over all the tricks, and all the different sections and all that, kind of explain things in detail, give some setups, etc. I'll have timestamps in the description for where I go over each different part of the run, as well as explaining important tricks so that you can reference it again later. I am going to be recording this in different parts, so if you notice any major cuts after I reach a checkpoint, that's why. This is just to help things go smoothly, and also just in case there's a crash, to again help it go smoothly. Speaking of crashes though, you want to make sure that this is the screen you see before you start the game. This is when you don't have a save file on your computer. The reason you want this is because if you already have a save file and you start a new save file, for some reason that new save file has a greater chance of crashing. Not really sure why, but for maximum safety, you want to have no existing saves when you start up the game, so you can hit new game. I believe it should be by default in your documents folder. There should be a Runic Games folder, and then Hob, and then saves, and then like a number, or a folder with a bunch of numbers on it, and then you can find the saves there. You should also be able to find it by going to Steam and going to browse local files on the game. So, again, this is the any percent no FPS abuse. The distinction between the categories is that some tricks and clips can only work on lower FPSs, and so this category bans all tricks that are only possible on low FPSs. As far as what that means, usually it's just, as a general rule of thumb, if all the people in the server that actively run the game can't do it, then probably don't do it. Below 20, I think, is typically that cutoff point where it starts to get really crazy, or as in, really bad collision. But this is also going to eschew things that are typically only possible at 40 FPS or 50 FPS as opposed to 100 or something. Anyway, so first off we have collision boosts. There are a few parts in the game where we'll do these. There are parts where when you go onto certain parts of collision, Hob will get pushed up and then sink back down very quickly. You can kind of see when I go over this, I go up and then kind of fall back down to the bottom level. If you jump when you're at that peak, you can get a little extra height than you're supposed to. You see here, I'm not really able to grab onto that, but if I go over this collision point on the checkpoint, there we go, I can climb on. For checkpoints, it's pretty much right in front of the ends of the half circle in the back. You can picture a little dot there that you can jump on. That's sort of the point you want to aim for those collision boosts. So, checkpoint collision boosts, that's the main one we do throughout the run. At this point, there is the hard way and easy way to do things. I'll start with the easy way, which is slower, but it might be better if you're just starting. So this is root jump. Pretty much, for this, you want a collision boost off of this root right in front of me. The best way I can describe it is go into this corner and then hold down and left and aim for this part of the bridge that is kind of jutting out right there. It kind of looks like a small Lego. And you should be able to climb up there as long as you jump about when you're passing over the route. Then you can jump over here, go across, and start the cutscene with the stilt horse. Now that, like I said, is slower than what we can do now. It's just a little easier. Instead, now I'm going to cover intro clip. So first there is another collision boost. This time off this root that is kind of sticking out of the ground. Pretty much go towards this root in the back, then turn right and then down and right. Kind of spin around. As long as you're on top of this root right in front of me that's sticking out, you should be good. Sometimes if it doesn't work, I try to back up and try again so that I get off of the collision area there and then can go back on. You want to land M for this ledge, then you want to climb up to here. Now, the trick we're doing, it causes Hob to go into a stumble, like that, where he just barely kind of stumbles off the ledge. And by doing this next to a perpendicular wall, we can clip through that wall. And then we're going to go up a little bit just to fall into the loading zone. The best way I can describe this is, so you want to go down right until Hob's back foot is about to go off. Whoops, I already did it. And then once Hob's back foot is about to go off the ledge, or like it's about to start crossing over the ledge, you want to switch to going backwards and slightly to the right without rolling the control stick around the side. And usually that should let you stumble through the wall there, and then just hold up and right to move through. I have a visual guide that I'm going to link in the description, or I probably also put it up on the video as well, just to show what I mean. Kind of start at neutral, go down right, and then just in a straight line go up and to the right. And if you do that, you should be here with the arm, and you skip the first part of that cutscene. Otherwise, you'll be here with the arm. You'll just have gone through the cutscene. And you can actually practice it multiple times even after you've already gotten the arm. You'll just go back into that room, and nothing else will happen. So, like, just to go over it again, after you climb up the ledge, go down right until Hob's right foot is about to go off the edge, and then switch directions. So, kind of like that. The collision's a bit different with the arm, though. If you keep falling off like this, or like you do that and kind of grab back on, I would always recommend going back down and going back up just to make sure you're against the ledge again, or against the wall. Sometimes the angle can be a little messed up after trying it a bunch. Okay, so after that, we're going to go meet Jeeves by the forge. First you do reverse root skip. This one is honestly pretty easy. Hold towards the bush and up, and then just jump as soon as you start seeing Hob get boosted up by the root. Here is another one that's kind of hard to explain. You want to jump over to this wall, like I just did. I kind of have an area I aim for. Here, let me show with my mouse. So, this platform is kind of polygonal, and there are two vertexes here and here. I want to aim for this vertex, this point kind of jutting out, and then I kind of take it to this one, or maybe this one, kind of around here. That's the general direction I want to take. So in action, it looks a little bit like that. It's okay if you step on that top ledge for just a little bit, but you don't want to be holding too close to it or else you'll miss. Once you're up here, jump down and to the right. This is so that you can get the scoop. Mash roll as soon as Jeeves starts talking to you, and then roll towards the guy with the sword. Interact with it, and then once you press interact, start mashing roll again, and you'll do a little roll there, and then it'll look like Hob just grabs the sword fragment with his golem arm, not even doing the normal animation. It only saves like a second, so it's not a big deal if you miss it. It does let you get here at the same time as Jeeves, so it saves a bit of that. It's just a small time save. So now we're going to get Forge. Here you want to go up to the thing. Okay. So if you kind of press X and A at the same time and then mash A, or like interact and jump at the same time and mash A, mash jump, then Hob will do a little hop, which skips the animation of him first putting in the first sword fragment. This is an even smaller time save. I'll put like a video of me actually doing it in to show what it looks like. But it's one of the like, it only saves again like a second or so, or even less. So now that you have the sword, you want to leave. And again, there is an easy way and a hard way to do this next part. I'm going to start with the easy way again. So we need to get over this wall to Punch Cave. You can go down here, which is pretty much the intended way. Fall down here. Go on this vine. Jump to the right. Climb around here. And then here you actually do have a bit of a way to speed things up instead of having to move that box. You can collision boost off this small copper ring, or like quarter ring. If you see right here, there's a part that's raised up compared to this part. You can collision boost off that up to here, and then you can just jump across like normal and climb up this vine, and then this, and then yeah. Then you can go up to Punch Cave. Now, that's obviously kind of slow, but it is much easier than the Bushtwakker, which I will now show. So, the other way to get over to Punch Cave is to jump onto this bush and then over to this wall. You do so by doing a long jump. And to explain what a long jump is, I first have to explain what a roll cancel is. So, without the sword sheath, so like this, press, like hold walk forward and then press X. If you notice, Hob does a little pause, and then he kind of lurches forward with the sword. Ooh, like that. Compare that to if I'm just walking and press X, he kind of stops for a second, but he doesn't really move forward. If I were to roll while he's lurching forward, like that, I would roll with extra distance. So let's say I start on right on the outside of the green grass in the circle. If I roll the left, it gets me to about here. If I do that attack and then roll, it gets me all the way out here before I'm done rolling. So it gets you further when you're rolling. This is a roll cancel. Certain animations can be canceled into roll to get some extra distance, extra momentum. Another thing you can do is roll attack roll. So roll and attack like that. It also kind of lurches Hob forward. So you can do a roll attack roll by going roll attack, but then right after press roll. I kind of just quickly move my thumb across attack and roll when I'm doing these. Kind of just roll my thumb across it. So that's an attack cancel, or a roll cancel. Now to do a long jump, you do one of those towards a ledge, like that, but you jump right before reaching the ledge. Now, not all ledges can be rolled canceled off of, which is part of what makes this trick kind of difficult. Or not all edges can be long jumped off of, I mean. Some of them you'll force yourself to climb back up. Other times you will kind of just roll off if it's a low enough ledge. But with success, you're able to do that. So, what did I do? The positioning to get it done isn't super precise at the start. The main thing is you want to be aiming your first jump for about here so that you're not going to go over this second step. If you go over this, then you're gonna not be able to go to do a long jump because the game wants to put you down on that step. It doesn't think there's enough of a ledge. But if you aim instead for the gap there, it will let you long jump. You can do this from, like, down here. You can also do it from a bit higher up. As long as you aim really for that, like, intersection of the two. If you aim it higher up, you kind of have a risk of doing the wrong angle. I would recommend doing it from behind Jeeves and then holding down right. Just ever so slightly down, though. You can do this, kind of walk off. That's a pretty good way to line up there. Climb up on this, walk off, then go down right. Try to do that. Anyways, so the other thing is you want to aim for this front portion of the bush, kind of like, if I could draw a circle or a box right here. And then once you're there, you want to hold down right so you can actually climb onto the ledge. So what you're doing is you're long jumping from this platform onto this bush. And then from that bush, you're going to get kind of pushed off to the right. I don't think it works from up here as easily because you see I'm not quite at the front of the bush. From over here, you're just barely able to make it onto that front of the bush. Personally, I like to go about here. And then, so like right at, kind of right here. So that Hobbs' head is just under Jeeves' shoulder. Or even right where you spawn, you can do it. But really, I just recommend, just, if you want to learn it, just keep going and try to find a spot that's comfortable for you. Because there's a lot of places that can work. There's a lot of places that don't work. Either way, you want to just jump up here with that. Then you can do some roll cancels to do some ground movement over here a bit quicker. Roll cancels are like the main method of grounded movement we do. Once you kill that guy, you can open the store and enter Punch Cave. Now, before you do runs, you also want to make sure your difficulty is set to easy, which you can do by pressing select, going to options, game, difficulty easy. Yeah, there's not much of any other like difference between difficulties. It just makes battles quicker, so it's pretty commonly used. You can roll right when you land to kind of help your landing animation not be so slow. Otherwise, you want to go over here, and something cool you can do is long jump, aiming kind of at the corner of the top of this ladder. If you do it wrong, you'll grab onto the ladder, so you're safe. If you do it right, you'll long jump over to here where the punch machine is. You don't have to do that either. I think it's like, I want to say like 10 seconds to get over here instead of doing that. It's not too slow. It's just a little nice. And it's a nice way to practice long jumping, since if you fail, you don't die. You just grab onto the ladder again. Okay. Okay, so now that you have punch, we need to do the Punch Cave escape. Normally there's a wall here, but I'm doing this in multiple takes, so it's not here right now. You can climb up here pretty normally. There's a few small things you can do, like cut this corner, roll cancel, but those aren't a huge deal. I wouldn't worry about them until you get to here. So we could break this down if we wanted and go out normally, but there is a faster thing we can do. Kind of hug this wall and hold down, jump when you reach the ledge, and then hold down left, and you'll be able to get up here. You might end up grabbing onto the ledge and climbing up. Either way, be careful, because sometimes Hob will keep walking this direction, even if you're holding down left. If you see that happen, try to just stop moving the control stick so that the game readjusts the controls for this perspective. So once we're up here, go to this curvy part, jump kind of left down. If you jump straight left, you'll run into this wall to the right, so just be wary of that. Then climb up here and long jump to this platform. I've seen people have trouble with this. I usually go about here and long jump to the left and just a little bit upward. Just be careful of undershooting it. Don't overshoot it either. It might look a little, you might need to aim a little higher up than you'd think. But otherwise, it shouldn't be too bad if you keep that in mind. But from there, you just go here and leave Punch Cave. So, really quick, before anything else happens, go to the menu, hit main menu, and hit continue. So, this cutscene, Jeeves gives you the map, and after this cutscene, you can fast travel, or you can activate fast travel points. Now, I say that, but if you go too quickly during the early game, you won't be able to activate a fast travel point for a little bit at least. There's like this weird cooldown where even if it looks like it'll activate and you go next to it, it won't be there later. By going to the main menu and continuing, it sort of gets rid of that weird cooldown, and we're good to activate those fast travel points. Don't really know why it works that way or why it happens if you go too fast, but going to main menu there and continuing seems to do the trick. You want to do it when you're just leaving Punch Cave just because it cuts down on travel time. Then you want to go here, make sure to activate this. Technically, the range to actually have this fast travel point active is like a box that kind of goes around it. Just as long as you get near it, you should be fine. Now we're going to leave. If you step too far to the left on this platform, then you'll get into a lock where Hob will continuously walk left towards the cutscene. This is only if you did intro clip. If you watch that intro cutscene, you can just walk to the left just fine. But since I didn't do intro clip, since I didn't watch a cutscene and I did do intro clip, the cutscene trigger is still there. If I enter from the left or from the right side like this and I walk left, Hob will continuously walk left, and he won't be able to reach the cutscene trigger, and the game will be stuck, and you'd have to close it and then restart it. It's a whole thing. So for here, if you did intro clip, you need to drop down and come back up. Then you can get the checkpoint over here just for safety, or you can just come over here. We need to do this collision boost again. There we go. Come up here. We need to do a long jump to the right. I tend to line up with, it's kind of hard to see, but there's like, you can think of a straight line going across right here and right here. Kind of see like a seam or part of the detail. That's sort of what I use to line myself up. Just hold to the right, long jump to the right with a walking slash, and you'll be fine. For reference, in the future, unless I say otherwise, just assume that when I say long jump, I'm doing a walking slash long jump where I'm walking with the sword sheathed. I unsheath it by pressing X and then roll cancel that. From here, we need to make our way into Warp Cave, so break that floor, power on this machine with the battery. I don't think this actually works. Yeah, it's just fun. Climb up the ladder. Once you're up here, this button will activate, so press it, and then that'll open up the Warp Cave door. And we don't have to go around to the side at all. Instead, we can do a collision boost off these rocks and onto that button to climb up. I kind of aim for, like, around here, like the top left quarter of the button. Really, I think as long as you aim for the top of the button, you're fine. Like that. Just make sure, you know, you're going off of these 3 stones. And jumping a little bit about right on them or right after them. And you'll get into Warp Cave. So, Warp Cave is going to have our first fall damage cancel. So, normally, if you fall too long of a distance, you'll take fall damage and die. However, there's ways to go around that. The main thing is we're going to be doing a walking slash in midair, and then a plunging punch like that. Now, you might be thinking, walking slash in midair, what do you mean? Well, there's a few ways that instead of doing that in midair, you'll do this sort of just regular slash. We can force ourselves in a state to do that. Like I said, there's a few ways that can happen, and we'll be using a few of those throughout the run. But for now, you just want to have your sword sheathed, and then do a unsheath attack going off of this, the very tip of this warp pad over here, kind of like the spiky, prongy part. Aim upright and go da, da, da. I'm just gonna die really quick to show you what I did again. So, I'm doing the unsheathed sword attack off the top right, then a little bit after I'm attacking with the sword again, and then I'm punching right before I land. So that rhythm again is da, 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 da. Oh, okay, I died. I was too slow on the punch there. That's what happens if you don't punch in time. So it's da, da, da. And if you're good, you should land about here. Go up to the machine, press X to activate it. If you're too fast on activating it when you first reach it, for some reason it can freeze up and you won't be able to move or press menu or anything, and again, you'll have to restart the game. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say other than just be a little careful. Once Hob kind of pulls his arm back like that, like yes, that sort of thing, you can respawn and leave the cave. The fall damage cancel itself was mainly so that we could just respawn and leave. We wouldn't have to go through the rest of the cave backwards like normal. Once you're out, you can go this direction. Climb up here, climb here. Don't go too far down to the left or else you'll have to do the cutscene that plays when you first enter electric fields. You can take fast travel back to Forge. So now we have Warp, which isn't going to be useful quite yet. But now that we have it, we can safely go over to Factory. There is this big gate that normally you'd need to power the electricity for it to open, and that's sort of the reason why you power the electricity in the first place. But there's a few ways around that. There is a long jump method over here by this butterfly that I find really inconsistent. I pretty much recommend doing what I'm about to do, personally. So this pillar has a point where you can collision boost right on the corner, on the bottom left, like right here. So I just run up, collision boost off it, climb on here. From here, you can do a few things. You can just long jump to that vine. That's probably the more consistent way. You can also climb up onto the higher part of the wall and just attack, cancel, roll over to those bushes. You don't want to long jump if you're on that higher part, because there's a kill plane just like slightly above these bushes. But if you're on the lower part, you can long jump. Either way, you want to get over to here and then just drop down here. And now we're outside of the dome. Get the checkpoint, long jump to the right, long jump up here, hit the ladder. That'll be useful later when we come back up here. Then we need to do a long jump over to the outside of dome over there. To long jump off of this platform is kind of tricky because normally it forces you to climb back on. But, so we need to like get hit by this bramble as we're long jumping. So kind of go over to the side and just long jump in that direction. If you do it a little too far, then you will fall down and get hit. If you miss, then you could long jump from this platform over to here and skip having to climb up the ladder. That's why we got this ladder, at least. You can even get some health if you really took damage. Otherwise, you just want to grab here, climb up this ladder, and for this point, for the moment, it's just climbing up like normal. You still want to press this button to activate these platforms and climb back up. Whoop. Okay, I'm just gonna wait. Normally I don't fall off of this, I swear. Okay. So, really quick, after you pull these levers, as soon as they go up, press punch, and you'll be able to move while they're doing things. This is important because after the second one, I'm going to be doing something called a platform boost jump, or a PBJ. I'm going to press attack and A at the same time, which does this weird looking jump like that. What's unique about that jump is that if you're on a moving platform, it will retain some of your momentum as you're jumping, which lets you do some special things. If a platform's moving down or up, then you retain vertical momentum. If it's moving sideways, you retain horizontal momentum. So press punch to keep moving while it's lowering. Then do that platform boost jump while it's lowering to get over here. And you can grab that without having to push the ladder. And again, that is pressing attack and jump at the same time. You can tell you did it because it made an attack sound while you're still jumping, and you don't see the actual attack. Once you get that done, long jump over here, take the ladder, dodge the bramble and the pincers, and turn on the dome. If you still have health, you might be able to long jump from that bramble back over to the dome platform. Otherwise, just roll over here, climb up, and press the button. Then go in here, punch the dome open, and take the elevator. And then we go into factory. So, factory is split up into 4 parts, and each part has like one specific trick to it. So I will kind of keep each part its own timestamp in the description. The first part is pretty straightforward. Your goal is to put 2 batteries into this platform once it's done lowering. The batteries themselves, there's not much you can do about. Just try and roll whenever you would get that like longer landing animation. You don't have to punch after those to move quicker either. After this one, you want to go up and to the left over to the platform that spins around and just jump straight forward like that. You should be able to get onto this platform a little quicker, which lets you press the button a little quicker than normal. Which then lets this all happen a little quicker as well. It's also another small time saver that's, you know, less important, but if you get used to it, it's, you know, kind of free. Take the warp pad over to section 2 of factory, otherwise known as the big pipe. Okay, so part 2 of factory, really big pipe skip, and really big pipe. First off, you want to make sure you're standing on this lower gray area, and then you want to just run off and you won't take fall damage. If you are on this upper area and you just keep running, you'll die. So you want to make sure you're down here, just run off, and you won't take any fall damage from that. Go along the pipe, and then we have the actual really big pipe skip. There's a bunch of ways you can do this. Like, you can go up here and long jump over to this wall and then drop down. You can go on this bracket and jump down to the left onto that fence. My preferred method is to go right under this gray part that's kind of sticking out and just long jump to the left and land on the platform. Then go over here. You want to go up into the corner, kind of right hugging the wall and the sort of part of the wall to the left. Then just move up left and jump towards this bracket. Just kind of aim for it. That like quarter piece. And you can climb up and turn this lever. Then fall down. Climb up here, and we're going to push in this battery. And right after the battery pushes, or is pushed in, we're going to try and move as soon as possible so that we can do a PBJ off of the platform that's going to swing into place. So you're going to see me like run over here and then just do a quick PBJ to get a little bit of extra horizontal movement. Press the button and we'll be up and able to press another button where we respawned. So I died a few times recording this, so I'm back at full health. But if you still have damage on you from the bramble jump outside of factory, then you have an opportunity to respawn for free over here. When you press this button, it takes a while for the machines to actually move into place and everything, so you can just kind of run off the ledge and die. And all the stuff in the background is still moving during this, so you have plenty of time to respawn and come back over here, and you can still wait around for this platform to move into place. After that happens, just take the warp over to part 3 of factory. So there's going to be there's going to be a platform that raises out of the ground and then flies downward a bit. And there are 2 ways you can do the early cycle. First, I'm going to show you the PBJ method. We're going to PBJ kind of straight to the left at a certain point of this arm moving. This is the second time after you get here that it moves. About once it passes the 45-degree angle. So like instead of straight down here, it's like here or so, or here. If this is like that, then here. If you kind of see what I mean, drawing a circle, then you want to do a PBJ straight to the left and you can get over here onto the platform. If you miss it, you can actually reset the cycle by going to main menu and continuing. I don't think it would be quicker to actually do that though. It would probably still be better to just respawn and do it normally. But if you do miss, or you do want to do this, you can go over here. There is an alternate first cycle. If you do it quick enough, you can make it to this platform as it's rotating, and you should be able to make the first platform that appears. Huh, there we go, yep. That was interesting. Either way, make it to this platform, and I'm gonna try something. Okay, so yeah, there was a little bridge that kind of appeared overhead. I just did a PBJ down left to get here. I don't actually think that's fast, I just wanted to do it for fun. So you can just wait out on the platform until you reach that checkpoint. Then go out, climb up this ladder, go to the left. And here I'm going to show another thing that you can do an easy way or a fast way. So, first way is the leap of faith. After pressing this button, you can kind of drop down on here. Then we want to line up with... If you look at the platform, there's like this spiky thing here. It's kind of hard to see when I have it paused, but if I unpause, you can see it right there. It's like the spiky part. You want to line up with that on this platform, and then run forward and run off. I did it too late there, but if you're quick enough, then you can run off of the platform and climb onto the ladder that is down there. Now that you kind of see where you can line up with, I'm going to jump across here and then line up with it here so that I'm early enough and I can run off. And you can land on that platform, or land on that ladder. And grabbing onto the ladder cancels any sort of fall damage. But I'm going to respawn and show you the other method, which is a warp fall damage cancel. So, we fall damage canceled earlier using a walking slash. Here I'm going to warp. Oops, I pressed warp. So, what I'll be doing is I'll be pressing warp, and then as soon as I'm out of the warp, pressing slash. And then as long as I keep up the timing, I can do 2 more slashes and then a punch, and I'll be able to land safely down over here. So that's going to be warp slash 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 punch. It's kind of hard to see, but that lets you get over here, which is just a little more direct to where we need to go. Regardless of how you did it, whether you did the leap of faith or the fall damage cancel, you want to come over here, stand on this sort of copper, sort of curvy part right here, and long jump up and to the left, and you should be able to grab onto or land on this ledge. And then from here, you can grab the forest keystone. Make sure you do not leave the factory without the keystone, or else you'll have to pretty much reset the run. I've done that before, once or twice. It's not great. But once you get the keystone, you can come up here and leave. As soon as you're out, you can kind of mash X to attack or roll. Either way, you can just mash roll, kind of move down the left. Go this way, insert the keystone, and you'll have the forest open. There's a little bit of a cutscene. So, in the forest, say hi to Jeeves. So, in the forest, you'll find the spritelings, the little sprites. And just there we go. And you need to go to Sprite Mom. And then, once we get to Sprite Mom, we can start the actual main quest line of the game. You want to jump up here, long jump to the left, reach this platform, keep going to the left. There'll be a guy that pops out of there. He's not important. Long jump from the very tip of that ledge up to here. And here we have Bossfight. So there's these 2 club guys. Each of them takes 7 hits on easy. They can also get hurt by other enemies, including each other or the bugs. Once you kill them, you can just go down the stairs, but you do want to make sure you get this fast travel point. So just go up there for a second while the stairs are lowering. Now, personally, I tend to have a really hard time with the boss fight. That's one of the best boss fights I've had in a while. So there's a way you can skip it. If you climb up here, go across these stumps, you can get the checkpoint just in case. I'm going to grab it just for the sake of recording. Climb onto this, jump up to the right so you're a little higher up. Then hug up and to the right, so you kind of hug the wall and fall down. If you can still see Hob at this point, behind like the window right here, you want to move just slightly to the left and down so that you fall a little further. This right here where I am is where I'm supposed to be, I believe. Yeah. Whoop, nope, okay. This is why I grabbed that checkpoint. So, go up here, kind of jump to the right, hug right. So yeah, I'm still visible in the window, so go down to the left a bit, and then roll to the right. Now, you can't see it too easily, but I've landed on solid ground. This is sort of inside the building Sprite Mom is on top of. Then you just want to roll down and to the right and into the loading zone. So you can do that if you didn't kill the boss, if you have trouble with the boss. Now we're in spinning room. Once I climb up here, I'm going to do a buffered jump out of a warp. That just means press warp and hold A so that you jump as soon as you're out of the warp. By doing that on a moving platform like this, then we are able to preserve a lot of momentum and do a really cool jump like so. Like that. And you can just kind of land over here. Get out your sword because you're going to do another PBJ as that is moving upward to climb onto here. Skips one little cycle of that. Once you're up here, get on top of this, climb up the ladder. Then once you're on top, you can just warp. Whoop. I'm going to respawn. You should just be able to warp upward to reach the ladder across. I think you can just jump. I'm not certain. Let me try that here. I personally like to warp because I always feel weird jumping from there. Okay, yeah. You can't jump from the stubby parts as easy, but you can warp from them. So if the long portion of the platform isn't facing the ladder when you get up there, you can just climb up and warp across. So that's spinning room. Exit the spinning room, and we'll see Sprite Mom along with our first corruption. So there are, I believe, 7 corruption. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 7 corruption in the game. 7 corruption pods like this, or grapes as I call them. We need to kill all 7 of them, but regardless of the order you do all the others in, you have to get rid of Sprite Mom's corruption first. This is due to a weird oddity in the way the game tracks progression. Pretty much, when you free Sprite Mom, the game gives you an invisible quest that says to clear all the other corruption, and once you clear corruption, it increments that quest progression by 1. But if you've already cleared corruption before you reach Sprite Mom, then the quest can't be incremented that 1. It starts at 0 and can't increment it if it's already been cleared. So it would never complete that quest. And that quest is what tracks if you get the Colossus core at the end. So pretty much you have to get Sprite Mom first in any route if you still want to reach the end of the game. She gives you the Cemetary keystone. I'm going to take a quick pause for the sake of recording. Okay. So, break this ladder, go down, and we're going to start making our way to electric fields. Here is another good place you can practice long jumping by doing that. Just because if you miss, it's really no risk at all. You just kind of fall into this gap. Go over here. At around this point, you want to sheathe your sword, because you want to stand kind of on this left side of this ledge and do a roll cancel forward and a little bit to the right so that you don't fall off. This skips the Bramble Alley section down there, which takes quite a while. Then you want to get this checkpoint. There are 2 ways to do this. There's a way over here that I haven't done in a while, and it's really inconsistent. And I'm just saying this because, yes, there is an alternate method. It just sucks. As you can see, I can't do it anymore. So I'm going to show you the method that is 100% consistent that you should do, which is this long jump. Go onto this step, and you pretty much just want to long jump straight down. If you're a little far from the end of the step, you might miss it. There we go. It's closer to the edge of the step that time. Climb onto here, and then drop down while hugging the left wall. That skips a cutscene where you first really meet Rogue, which happens if you normally slide down. From here, you can just go over to Electric Corruption, clear it, and go up to the Sprite Mom. Or not the Sprite Mom, the Corruption. And clear it. And that'll be the second one completed. So now that we have this cleared, as soon as it clears and you see this like blue bubble forming, you can move and do like roll cancels and stuff, and the corruption that's there won't hurt you. Move through these, and you want to go up the tower here. I'm going to get this checkpoint for the sake of recording, and because there's two methods off the tower I want to show you. The first way is a warp fall damage cancel that I personally use. It might be a little slower than the other method that Evade uses, but I'll show this first because I'm more comfortable with it. Go up here, kind of to the corner here. You want to warp up and to the right. If you do that plunging sword attack, you should still be able to do a standing slash or walking slash if you mash attack. And then just make sure that you punch right afterwards to get the fall damage cancel. Alright, now the other way is a punch long jump. This has the same principle where you do something, cancel it into a roll, and then cancel that into a jump when you're at a ledge. The punch long jump is done by charging up punch and then releasing, and then doing the long jump. It's much better for doing like really precise lineups like this. So you want to get Hobbs' hand, his right hand, not the golem hand, kind of to the right of the ladder like this, and then release and do the long jump like that. And you should be able to get up here just fine. The timing for the punch long jump can be kind of tricky because it's kind of like you're releasing punch and then immediately pressing roll and then jump. But that should be faster than the one I showed, I believe. Either way, you want to go over to the warp to Cemetary. Make sure that you let your energy recharge. If you roll the whole way through here, it won't be recharged by the time you get to this this warp pad. So you kind of just want to make sure it recharges on your way there. And from there, we can get to Cemetary Keystone input. Now, from here, we're going to watch Cemetary get lifted up, and then pretty shortly afterwards, there's going to be a cutscene with Jeeves. But the cutscene goes by super quickly because you can move during it. And not only that, you can even access the map if you want. So we can just like go over here, go here. There's a brief pause where Jeeves comes up, but we can just immediately start moving and going away from him, going off into the background. Here you can kind of see where we are in location. Go down here, and then we want to long jump to the left, up to here. You can move almost basically to where you long jump before the map forces itself to show up. From here, it's really easy. Just grab the Spriteling and, whoops, don't get hit by that. Go north to the Corruption. Just make sure you don't get hit by the goats. Shoutouts to Halfco. He knows what he did. Alright, clear the Corruption. You want to wait just a tiny bit before moving, because for some reason some of the Corruption right next to the grape there doesn't lose its hitbox until a bit longer than normal. And then you want to go over here and go down to Grapple Cave. Now, I've heard that on PC, you can just drop down here and then drop down again to the grass down there. I've heard that the Switch version doesn't let you do that. So one thing you can do other than a warp fall damage cancel or walking/1 is a buffered jump fall damage cancel. The way that I'd explain this is similar to how we buffer to jump out of warp by holding A as soon as we start warping. I'm going to do an attack like that and hold A as soon as I attack so that I jump immediately afterwards. Now this is an attack that I'm doing while holding a direction. If you just stand still and press A and hold A after attacking, you won't jump. You have to be holding a direction when you jump for some reason, or it won't let you. If you're still holding a direction, sometimes you'll do this like little leap forward like that. So once you actually jump, you want to let go of the button, and then you can go into that fall damage cancel state like normal. Either way, go down here, enter Grapple Cave. Okay, so now we're in Grapple Cave, and we need to get to the grapple machine without triggering the checkpoint next to it. Since we went and entered through this like back exit, we want to be able to respawn here, kind of like what we did with Warp Cave. You want a long jump from this copper part right about here or so, and you want a long jump straight down. This is because we want to grab onto this rock that is very sharply angled. If you do it too far to the left, then you won't be able to get onto that. We're on top of the machine, so if you just drop down and access the machine, you won't trigger the checkpoint that's next to it. Similarly to Warp Cave, we're going to let the machine do its stuff, and then we're going to wait until Hob pulls back his arm like that. Then we can respawn. Again, if you do it too quickly, you won't have grapple, but specifically if you respawn too quickly, you won't have grapple. Then you're out here. So now that we're at a punch cave, you need to sort of leave this hole that we're in. First, you need to activate these stairs that I already activated on this save file. So now we need to reach this ladder up here. To do that, we're going to jump over to this sort of section sticking out here, then climb up to where this root is, and then jump across. The sort of most consistent way I can find to do that is kind of go up against this rock here, and then just hold right and jump. Then hold kind of upright a little bit to get here, then up left until you climb onto that corner, and then just jump straight across. And I almost thought I was going to crash. And then you can climb up here. So now we're going to really quickly get this checkpoint by the Colossus. It's okay if you fall down like that. Okay. So right there I got smashed by a club. That is not good. So when you get hit by something, your respawn animation is replaced by the by the death animation of that damage were it to kill you. Since I got hit by the clubbing enemy who like splattered me, I now have the splatter respawn animation, and I don't want that for this trick I'm doing next. So I'm gonna try and get hit by a dog. Okay, that should be good. Let me just make sure. Good, that's what I want. So we're going to do a momentum respawn, which is where you so for this case, we're going to charge up a punch and then release it, and then shortly after releasing the punch, respawn. That way we enter the cutscene trigger while we're respawning. First, climb up here, and then you can just kind of either roll cancel or long jump through that crack. Kind of go up left a bit, jump through these two trees. Okay, so yeah, the goal is we're going to go right next to these bushes, about right here, charge up a punch, let it go, and then respawn. So that way we're dying while we enter the cutscene trigger. Then, you know you'll do this if you hear the music from the cutscene in the background playing, like here. Then just kind of move along to the right, and eventually it will pull you over to the cutscene. Start mashing X, or whatever your attack is, so that we can move during this cutscene. Just keep doing this, and then you want to pick up the keystone as soon as you see it, as soon as you can. So we have activated the cutscene and picked up the keystone earlier than we're supposed to. Like, we're supposed to wait till Rogue's off screen. Then I just go over to the right until you're off screen, then hold kind of sharply down right. You can use the map to see where you are. So even if you're off screen, you can kind of, you know, check that out. The camera should snap back to you as soon as you reach those enemies. But before that, you can just do that. You'll only be able to see where the cutscene was. Then make your way across to the right. You should be able to jump right across there onto this platform. You don't have to aim for the bushes. And we are making our way to water as soon as we get along around these enemies. So, water, we're going to be using a lot of what is called grapple storage. So, by starting a grapple and then interrupting the startup of it with a punch, or by interrupting the end of a grapple with a punch, like when you're about to climb onto a ledge, you will store the coordinates of the grapple, and it will act as if you were still looking at that grapple point to go towards it. From there, if you press grapple again, you'll start grappling towards that point regardless of like what direction, or if there's walls in between you and the point. And you can cancel it again by punching. Let me grab this checkpoint just for safety, and then I'll illustrate what I mean. So I'm gonna jump down here, grab this point. So let's look at it, charge it up, or do the grapple but then punch. Now if I go over here, it still says hold left bumper. I'll grapple to it. There, I pressed punch right as I was getting off the grapple point, and it also saved it. So, like I said, if you could use this when you're on the other side of a wall, and if you do so, you'll go through the wall. You can also do this and then cancel it again to just stop the grapple immediately. This is going to be useful. So, get the grapple storage from there. Get over to these bushes by long jumping. Go to the right, jump down, and before you hit the ground, grapple and then punch again. That's going to sort of be a sort of fall damage cancel. Climb up this ladder. Then jump to the left and grapple. And it's okay that we fell kind of a bit. Since we got the checkpoint, we could always just respawn if that happens. I'll try and show what it actually looks like if you land on the platform like that. So there's two caveats to grapple storage. If you're on the overworld and you go too far away from the grapple point, the game will crash. I believe it's when the grapple point despawns or deloads, but I'm not sure. So this also includes like taking a fast travel teleport point. If you do that while you're grappled storage, the game will crash. The second thing is if you're in a dungeon, like this one down here, there is actually sort of a timer before the game will crash. And if you come back outside of the dungeon, as long as you're still in the same area as the grapple point, so as long as we come out here, then that timer will reset. When we're in the dungeon, since the grapple point isn't there, it'll grapple us in that direction, in those like coordinates, but it will be off kind of up and to the right. And we're going to use this along with the fact that we can grapple through walls and that we can cancel it early by punching to get to the corruption really quickly. This is going to go a little quickly, but I am going to try and explain what I'm doing. So, as soon as the platform hits the bottom, you want to start going down. Make a hard left to get over to here. Go into this corner. Jump. Grapple. Punch. Jump down here. Punch as soon as you see this fence. Climb up here. You can just jump here. Jump onto this pump. Jump and grapple. Punch when you see the corruption to the right. Climb up here. Cut that sprite free. Fall down the steps. Jump, grapple, punch. Grapple, punch again just to make sure you don't take fall damage, because you can die from that fall. And with that, it's the corruption. So, as soon as we get the chance, so like when the blue explosion first appears, we're gonna respawn. This will let us respawn right next to that elevator, and we're home free. So, again, that is, you go down and to the left to that door, or that gate, jump and grapple, and then punch when you see the water in the top right first appear. Then go down to sort of the bottom end of that platform, jump, grapple, and then punch when you see the fence in the next area. Climb up on the fence, climb up on the pipe, and then jump, grapple, punch when you see the corruption to the right, and then, yeah, just do it through that last pipe. If you die during the last grapple, then you can actually just go from where the second place you land, so where the fence is, but instead of climbing on top of the fence and the pipe, you can just keep going and get to the corruption that way. There is a checkpoint that is sort of between the pipe we climb on and the sprite, and if you touch that checkpoint, then you really won't be able to get out of the dungeon in time, so that's what you desperately need to avoid. But if you do that in time, then you should be out here just fine. If you're too slow, you'll know that you're too slow because the grapple beam will extend straight downward instead of off to the side. But regardless, go ahead and use grapple to return here, but get storage again. And if you want, you can grab the checkpoint again. It's not a huge deal since we can always grapple over here. So then we're going to go to Pipe's Corruption. Stand on this side of this sort of bumpy thing right around here, and just long jump straight downward. And ooh, you'll land here. Go here, stand on this bump right about here, long jump straight downward. You'll climb on these pipes. Then we want to do roll cancels to avoid some goats. Luckily, you can just walk up those rocks to dodge that one. This goat is gonna give me trouble right now. Okay. So yeah, you can walk across those rocks. Long jump to get to the sprite. And then we are going to drop down. Make sure to roll so that you can avoid that goat. Jump across here. Okay, and then grapple as soon as the grass that I'm standing on here appears. I mean, punch as soon as it appears. I punched a little too early, but luckily, I immediately re-grappled and then punched again, and I was able to get up okay. As soon as you clear that corruption, you want to lose grapple storage and go back over here, so that we can take the fast travel point without having to worry about grapple storage. Now we're going to get intro corruption. Technically, you can just go down this way, and there's a grapple point down here, which is how you're supposed to reach it. There's a very slightly faster method that has a chance of hard locking the game if you did intro skip, since that cutscene trigger is still there, If you go too far to the left, then you'll be locked in an endless cutscene. But you can just barely stand on this platform and long jump to the right to reach this. And then from here, you can jump up here. Or if you don't like not being able to see yourself, you can jump here. Then go along sort of the intended route. Jump here. Those goats can be pretty annoying, but if you notice, there's a spot of grass by itself right there where my mouse cursor is. If you jump there, you should be able to reach the grapple point just fine. I used to have a lot of trouble with it, but I think Savade mentioned that spot, and it's worked perfect since. And get the sprite. There are some goats around the corruption here, but if you stay directly to the left or the right of it, then they can't chase after you. So here where I am, or here as well, either one works. And the goats won't be able to hurt you. Then clear the corruption and respawn. Ooh. That's a slow respawn animation. Then we have one more corruption left, and it's in Wetlands. And then we have to get the rest of the Colossus cores as well. Do your preferred method of reaching Wetlands. Not that. That kills you. Oh, hey. Then, so we're gonna get this checkpoint. Okay, so once you're in Wetlands, make your way down here, climb onto this rock, do a long jump straight down to clear those brambles. Make sure to roll at the end, or else you might take some damage. Our goal now is to warp across this gap to this sort of bump on the land bridge, kind of like right where my mouse is. You need to be close to the ledge when you do the warp, and then as long as you aim for that point, you'll be fine. And then you can go up here and reach the sprite. Now, if you're like me and you have trouble lining that up, there is a grapple storage backup strat that I want to go ahead and show. Because if you miss that and you fall, you'll fall in here. So you can get grapple storage on that grapple point. Go ahead and respawn back to this area. If you go too far to the left, then that grapple point will respawn, so be careful. Go over to here, and then climb onto this rock, long jump down and to the right to reach here. Then just jump, grapple, punch to get through those pincers. And then, so we're going to go get the Wetlands corruption finished. After that, we need to get the Wetlands Colossus. And luckily, there's also a few ways you can do that. And I'll show the method that uses grapple storage first, since I already have it. Corruption's gone. Now, for the grapple storage variant of the Colossus. For this, just go over here to this side. Once you reach these rocks, just jump, grapple, and then cancel it as soon as you see the core. That's how you get that. I'm going to go ahead and lose grapple storage to show the way you can get that without grapple storage, which is what you do if you correctly do the warp in the first place. So instead we want to go back up here, kind of near the sprite was, and we're going to do a fall damage cancel. That's not it. So, assuming that you did the warp correctly, you should be able to, you won't have grapple storage, so you need to get the Colossus still. For that, we're going to do a fall damage cancel. Come up to here, kind of near where the sprite was, and you can see the Colossus to the right. We want to pretty much just go off to the right and then do our preferred fall damage cancel method. There are two main ways people do. There's the unsheath method and the warp method. The warp method's pretty similar to what we did in Electric Tower. Just warp slash as soon as you're out and then slash again and punch. I think taking damage from a bramble will actually help your fall damage cancel. But then I'm going to show you the other method. If you don't want to do the warp fall damage cancel, you can always do a walking slash fall damage cancel. Similar thing to what we did in Warp Cave. It's pretty much just come here, do... Similar rhythm, similar timing. Just make sure you're aiming just slightly down and to the right. Just slightly down, mostly to the right. Just so that you clear the brambles on the top end of that wall. Regardless of your method, just grab the Colossus core, and if you still had grapple storage, you would want to lose that before you respawn. Otherwise, just respawn, and there is a teleport kind of up and to the right. And we are going to take this to Sprite Mom. This is why we needed to get the Sprite Mom teleport. From here, climb up, jump across, take the ladder shortcut from earlier. And just, if you hug that bottom wall, you might get stuck in the cutscene, because Hob wouldn't be able to move all the way to here. If you get stuck for long enough, then for most cutscenes, it will jump you to where you need to be eventually. But just to be safe, stay on like the higher part of that entryway where the cutscene trigger is. And since we've cleared all the corruption, we get the third Colossus core. Since we entered the Colossus and Cemetary already to get that checkpoint, it counts us as having 3 out of 4. So yeah, I meant like you want to stay kind of about here. Because if you're too close to here, then you might run up against this and get stuck. It's happened to me before. So now we have the forest walk-off. For this, you pretty much just want to stay kind of around the right side of this platform and walk off. Technically, I'm holding run, so it's a run-off. But if you didn't die, then you're on here. Move up and to the left to land on this tree hitbox. Then fall down here. And mosey on along the ground. Then from here you pretty much just want to stay on like this rock. Jump to the left and you can grapple up here. And grab the last Colossus core. And we can respawn as well. So then, technically, it's faster to keep the previous checkpoint from Wetlands and just walk to the teleporter there. if you took this one to be safe from like the forest walk-off, then something you can do that's kind of fun is a buffered jump fall damage cancel again, which is attack, buffer, and attack, buffer, jump while holding a direction, and then pressing an attack in midair, like that. And now on the home stretch, we return to the Cemetary Colossus. Put the 3 Colossus cores in, and then move to that right button, and we'll begin the final stretch. Now, the final stretch is this final section is pretty normal up until you reach the, pretty much the last checkpoint. So once I press this button, I'm just going to cut to that, because for the most part it's just climbing up the Colossus normally. So right before you reach the final checkpoint, these are the last 2 grapple points before that. You want to get grapple storage on one of them. You can do it on this one, the standing way, and you can do it on the previous one, the one right below me, so the one after the one I just got storage on. You can do it on that one, the climbing way. So get grapple storage, get that checkpoint, and then go into this corner, jump, and grapple. And you'll notice you can't grapple anymore. This is because we have just entered the cutscene trigger for the final cutscene. Something quick to note that we couldn't really do in the Jeeves and Rogue cutscene, but here, by jumping and punching, we can sort of help move the NPCs to the next part of their animation. So instead of Rogue standing up, we punched her and she moved into the corner. So we're going to wait for a very specific moment to respawn during this cutscene. So the queen's gonna look at us. She's going to close her eyes. As soon as she opens them again, respawn. This is because she's going to do that like red magic thing. If we didn't respawn, then that would hold us in place and wouldn't let us interact during the cutscene any further. So by respawning, we skipped that and we can still move around. Now we're going to wait for her to sit back up during this so that she... There we go. Then we just want to jump and punch her, and it moves her to the end of the cutscene, skips the whole thing with the butterfly. And then hold left and press A to join her for the bad ending, which is the fast ending. The one where you don't have to fight Rogue. And so, with that, that's the run of Hob. That's how you complete it, any percent, no FPS abuse. But that is also how you complete it without thrust. It was found a while ago that, for the most part, going thrustless is faster. You can do almost every long jump except for one without thrust. And even the one that is with thrust is really finicky. Thrust does help make the long jumps a little easier to perform, and it makes your grounded movement just a little faster overall. But it does take a while to actually open all the shrines and everything. That being said, since it makes it easier to, open up the, or it makes it easier to long jump, then I'm going to go ahead and show the fastest set of shrines to get thrust. Alright, so this is right after the intro cutscene, and the first shrine we want to take is this one by the Stilled Horses. This practice file did the intro cutscene, which is why there's Stilled Horses here, whereas if you don't do cutscene skip, or if you do the intro clip, I should say, then there won't be stilt horses here. The second one is just south of Forge. If you don't do Bushtwakker, then this is pretty much on the way to Punch Cave. But if you do Bushtwakker, then you can just get it whenever. Either on the way to Punch Cave and come back, or after you've already done it. The second is in Electric Fields. Before you activate the door to Punch Cave, to Warp Cave, you can jump down here and grab this. You can see the button to get the battery for Warp Cave in the back over there. And as a very small time saver, if you do this, you can climb up this ladder, and as soon as the screen transitions, just jump to the right and you'll be on the ground. The next is right behind Warp Cave. You want to line up against this wall, kind of so that Hobbs' feet are on this seam right here. Just walk forward just a little more so that his foot is about right there. And do a punch long jump across. If that's too hard, you can also run over here, then press X while walking. For some reason, that will make you immune to the electric on the floor, the electricity on the floor. And you can go and get this gem, and then you can turn around and go back. The fifth, as you're leaving Electric Fields, make sure to go around the cutscene trigger. Head south along this right wall. Hug the right wall. Go around here. Hug the left. You can activate this shrine before the dogs wake up. Then from here, break this wall and get the sixth shrine right here. Then you can fast travel to Forge, or it might be quicker depending on your load times to just head there again manually. Once you're here, you can go up to the machine and get the sword thrust. From here you can see the difference in distance. If I do just a walking slash, it does that far. If I do a sword thrust, it goes a little bit further. But the actual long jump also goes a lot further typically. Your grounded movement, instead of having to go attack, roll, or roll, attack, roll, you can just keep doing thrust. You can do stuff like that. And with that, that is the full any % no FPS abuse tutorial for Hob. Have fun.